Sarah Connor. Connor's death was swift but marked the franchise's first taste of the Terminator's ruthless efficiency. This ordinary woman had no idea she was about to become the T-800's first victim. She was just living her normal life in suburban Los Angeles, completely unaware of time-traveling wars or the fact that her unfortunate name had marked her for death. The T-800 methodically works through the phone book, targeting every Sarah Connor in the city. He arrives at her home like any normal visitor, knocks on the door politely, and asks for her by name to confirm her identity. Upon confirmation, he shoots her directly in the forehead at point-blank range before firing additional rounds into her body. The forehead shot causes near instantaneous death with minimal pain registration time, but I still think it's a brutal way to go out. The cold, mechanical follow-up shots show the Terminator's inhuman efficiency, but at least her actual suffering was brief. What makes this death memorable isn't the pain itself, but how it establishes the T-800's complete lack of mercy right from the start. But if you think that was bad, wait until you see what happens to our next victim. Police desk clerk. The desk clerk's death was a crushing finale to the T-800's most iconic one-liner. This polite police officer had no clue that "I'll be back" would be the last words he'd ever hear. He was just a professional officer stationed at the front desk of the LA police station, being polite and doing his job when the T-800 was denied access to Sarah Connor. The Terminator delivers that iconic line before leaving, and this poor guy probably thought that was the end of it. He had no idea what was coming next. The T-800 returns moments later driving a car at full speed, slamming through the station's front doors and crushing the clerk behind his desk. The massive thoracic compression and blunt force trauma lead to immediate unconsciousness and death. There's little time for pain to register due to the shock and surprise, but the sheer force is absolutely devastating. This death kicks off the infamous police station massacre, and honestly, this guy probably had the quickest death of anyone in that building. Things are about to get worse, though. Mall employee. This employee became collateral damage when the T-1000's hunt for John Connor spilled into public spaces. This ordinary worker was just trying to get out of the way when the bullets started flying. He was having a normal day at the Galleria Mall, probably thinking about getting off work soon, when suddenly the T-1000 starts pursuing John Connor through the crowded corridors. The machine opens fire with absolutely no regard for civilians, and this poor guy tries to duck for cover as chaos erupts around him. He gets struck by multiple bullets to the torso and collapses immediately. Multiple gunshot wounds cause intense, sharp pain, but death follows pretty quickly due to blood loss and shock. The pain is definitely real but short-lived, and I can't imagine the terror and confusion of being caught in that unexpected violence. But we're just getting started with the pain. Liquid nitrogen truck driver. The driver's friendly concern turned into a fatal encounter with the T-1000. This truck driver thought he was just checking on an accident victim. He was a friendly trucker who got caught in the battle between the T-800 and T-1000, and after his truck crashes, he steps out to assess the situation like any responsible driver would. He shows genuine concern for what he believes is just an accident victim, probably trying to help. The T-1000 transforms its arm into a blade and impales the driver straight through the torso. The blade pierces his diaphragm and vital organs, causing a burst of excruciating pain as it ruptures cardiac tissue. Death follows quickly, which minimizes prolonged suffering, but that initial agony must be absolutely intense. You can see the shock and pain on his face for just a moment before he goes down. The deaths are getting more personal now. Todd Voigt. Todd's death turned a peaceful kitchen moment into one of the franchise's most shocking kills. Todd was just enjoying a glass of milk when his world turned upside down. John Connor's gruff but ordinary foster father was sitting at the kitchen table, probably winding down after a long day, when the T-1000 infiltrates their home by perfectly mimicking his wife Janelle's appearance. Todd has absolutely no reason to suspect danger in his own kitchen with his own wife. The T-1000's blade extends through the milk carton and into Todd's mouth, impaling him through the head. The entry through the mouth and into the skull causes blinding, intense pain for a split second before death. The craniofacial nerves are among the most sensitive in the body, so this must be absolutely agonizing, even if it's mercifully brief. The visual of the milk carton with the blade coming through it is something that stays with you. We're entering truly disturbing territory now. Ginger Ventura. Ginger's death was prolonged and desperate, making it one of the more agonizing human deaths in the series. Ginger's love for music and dancing couldn't save her from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Sarah Connor's lively roommate who loves music and dancing was a completely innocent bystander, unaware of the danger targeting her friend. The T-800 mistakes her for Sarah and attacks her in their shared apartment, and she has no idea what's happening. The first shot hits her in the back, likely hitting her spine or major organs, but she remains conscious and tries to crawl away for help. This extends her suffering significantly. The T-800 then executes her at close range with multiple rounds. The prolonged nature of this death, combined with her desperate struggle for survival, makes this one of the franchise's most agonizing deaths. But the real nightmare is just beginning. Lewis. Lewis faced the ultimate nightmare of confronting his own doppelganger before dying. Lewis thought he was just doing routine security rounds at the hospital. He was a security guard at Pescadero State Hospital, just an amiable worker doing his regular patrols when the T-1000 infiltrates by mimicking his appearance. Lewis encounters what appears to be his own reflection while making his rounds, and the confusion must be terrifying. The T-1000 drives a metallic spike through Lewis's left eye socket. The eye and orbital region are densely packed with nerve endings from the trigeminal nerve, so penetration causes absolutely excruciating pain before rapid neurological shutdown as the spike reaches the brain. The sudden, precise attack on such a sensitive area creates maximum agony. The fact that he has to look at his own face while dying makes this death particularly weird, but the pain is about to get even worse. Wash day, punk. The punk's bravado quickly turned to terror when he mocked the wrong naked stranger. This punk thought he was just messing with some crazy naked guy. He was part of a trio confronting the newly arrived T-800, showing typical punk bravado and making jokes about wash day when seeing the naked Terminator. He approaches with mockery and confidence, completely unaware of what he's dealing with, probably thinking this will be an easy intimidation. The T-800 drives its fist straight through the punk's chest, penetrating the sternum and likely rupturing his heart and lungs. The full-arm thoracic perforation causes catastrophic trauma with instant, overwhelming pain from shattered ribs and torn cardiac tissue. But here's the really brutal part. Consciousness persists for several seconds, so he feels every bit of that agony before he finally collapses. We're getting into the truly horrific deaths now. Scott Mason. Mason's death was so brutal it happened off-screen, leaving only the horrifying aftermath. Scott Mason thought he was just spending time with his fiancée Kate. Kate, Brewster's fiancée, was just a peripheral but sympathetic character who becomes collateral damage when the TX infiltrates Kate's home to get close to her. He probably thought it was going to be a normal evening with the woman he loved. While the death occurs off-screen, the aftermath shows blood sprayed across the room and Kate's horrified reaction, suggesting he was torn apart limb by limb. Multiple limb avulsions would result in staggered waves of pain, each more intense than the last until shock and blood loss led to unconsciousness. The implied suffering is absolutely extreme, but we're about to enter the top 3 most painful deaths. John Connor. Connor's death was emotionally devastating and physically brutal, marking a controversial franchise moment. John Connor had survived the future war, but couldn't survive a peaceful beach vacation. The prophesied leader of human resistance was enjoying what should be a peaceful moment on a Guatemalan beach with his mother Sarah when a de-aged T-800 emerges from the water, targeting him for termination. This should have been a safe, happy moment. The first shotgun blast hits his chest, shattering ribs and damaging vital organs, followed by a second shot that further devastates his body. Shotgun wounds to the thorax and abdomen cause massive trauma, intense pain, and rapid blood loss. He remains conscious for several seconds, experiencing both physical agony and emotional terror as he gasps for breath. The worst part is that he dies in Sarah's arms, so you see both his pain and her devastation. This death hurt fans just as much as it hurt John, but it's nowhere near as bad as the final 2 deaths, and they're absolute nightmares. Miles Dyson. Dyson's death was a slow, agonizing sacrifice as he bled out while destroying his life's work. Miles Dyson never imagined his greatest creation would require his death to stop it. The lead engineer behind Skynet's development was a well-intentioned scientist whose work dooms humanity, and during the Cyberdyne break-in, he gets shot in the shoulder and mortally wounded while holding the detonator to destroy his research. The gunshot wound to his clavicle area severs major blood vessels, causing slow but fatal blood loss. He struggles to stay conscious and keep the detonator pressed while bleeding profusely, experiencing increasing pain, weakness, and air hunger as his lungs fill with blood and oxygen deprivation sets in. You can see him getting weaker and weaker, his breathing becoming more ragged, but he holds on until the very end. He dies with labored breathing as the building explodes around him, and it's absolutely heartbreaking to watch. But nothing compares to our #1 most painful death. T-1000 Genesis Unit. The T-1000's acid dissolution represents the ultimate prolonged suffering in the franchise. The T-1000 thought it was indestructible until it met industrial acid. This nearly indestructible shape-shifting assassin made of mimetic polyalloy gets lured into a trap by Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese during the film's climax, with industrial lava-looking acid as their weapon of choice. The acid rapidly dissolves the T-1000's liquid metal structure molecule by molecule, and it convulses, shrieks, and attempts to reform while its body disintegrates. The process is prolonged with the T-1000 exhibiting clear signs of distress and agony. Despite being a machine, it experiences what can only be described as suffering, writhing, screaming, and glitching as it's destroyed while fully aware of its impending termination. If you enjoyed this video and want to see the most painful deaths in Scream, click the video on the screen.